Okay, and we'll just get a quick photo to begin with on there. It doesn't take photos.
You can't take photos.
Can't take photos.
Mother just lying to me. So good. Boom. Right people, this week I'm going to attempt the colossal task of making the classic, the original lasagna carnivale from Naples from scratch. From start to finish, from A to Z, you are going to get the full recipe. Class is in session, let's do it. Oh, mate. Right, to this lasagna there are 4 stages. There's making the sauce, there's making the pasta, there's making the meatballs and assembling everything. First up, the sauce. Pan on. Start with a couple of good glugs of olive oil. Now add in 2 onions, a big carrot, 2 stalks of celery and 4 garlic cloves, and just let them slowly tickle away in the oil, releasing their natural perfume. Now it's time to add in the meat. So take your Italian sausages out their skins and put in 9 pork ribs. So what you're doing is you're just beginning the caramelization process on the pork, cooking through the sausage, and now it's time to get the white wine into the glaze. Now, people, make sure that you get only the San Marzano tomatoes. These are the ones from Mount Vesuvius. They're absolutely specific to this dish. They need to be with skins off, and then we need to take the seeds out. Follow me. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use this, which is a chinois, which basically has got a really fine mesh in there. And then what I'm going to do is I just move this and it forces the tomato through, and because it's so fine, it catches the seeds. I don't want the seeds because they make it bitter. Let's do it. Put 8 of those tins in. Okay, that's really reduced down now, and all those flavours have permeated into the tomatoes. So I need to get the meat out, I need to pass the sauce and take the vegetables out, and then we're ready to crack on to the meatballs. See, that really is one of the secrets that we got from Chef Emilio last week in Naples. Like, that sauce is incredible. The meat is slowly poached in it, and in return, the meat has given its flavour to that sauce. The vegetables have bled into it as well, so now it's just this absolutely delicious tomato sauce. Oh, it's so good. Now what I've got to do is I've got to dilute it with 50% ricotta, and then that's the sauce done, but I've got to wait until it cools down so it doesn't split the ricotta. For the meatballs, I've got 30% pork, 70% veal mince. Now that's the perfect balance because the pork gives it the moistness, you know, pork just basically makes everything taste delicious. And then you've got veal, which is a little bit more delicate than beef, and so those two work really well together. And I'll put some garlic in there. I need to put some salt. I need to put some Parmesan in there. Just get that in. And then what I've also done is I soaked some breadcrumbs in milk, squeezed it out, and I've added those in. So we just incorporate all those ingredients, and then to help bind it, we put an egg in. I'm gonna mix that in, and we're gonna make meatballs. Get your meatballs to about this sort of size. You don't want them any bigger than that because they're fitting into a bigger dish. Now we deep fry the meatballs until they're golden brown. Right, meatballs are ready. Oh mate, oh, the Parmesan with the pork and veal, they're like little golden culinary flavour bombs just exploding in your gob. Oh, they're so delicious, you could just eat those all day, but imagine them smothered in a tomato ricotta sauce, accompanied by Italian sausage and pork rib, layered on pasta. I mean, like, come on, this flipping dish is gonna be amazing. Right, Next up, pasta. For the pasta dough, you need 500 grams of plain flour and 500 grams of semolina. Then a good pinch of salt, about 2 or 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And now, as the food mixer is incorporating those ingredients, gradually crack in your 9 eggs. Once that's all done, turn your mixer up to high speed and fully work the dough. Right, that's the dough done. I've put that into a greased bowl, I'm gonna cover it, and then I'm just gonna let that rest for the rest of the day in the fridge. Now it's time to get the dough out. I'm gonna cut it into quarters and I'm gonna start putting it through my electric pasta machine to get it to the thickness that I want. Do it gradually at first and then keep reducing down the rollers so the pasta gets thinner and thinner until it's perfect for lasagna pasta sheets. Okay, so I've rolled out my pasta. Just gonna put just a little dusting of flour, so just make sure that it doesn't stick to the surface. And I've rolled it out so it's about the thickness of a millimetre. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it down so it will fit into my lasagna tray, and then I'm going to blanch it in hot water for 4 or 5 minutes until it's al dente. Let's do it. And the thing to remember with this is don't crowd your pasta pan with loads of pasta. The problem with that is if you put too much in, it drops the temperature too much and then you're not getting that beautiful, vigorous cook. So put a couple of sheets in at a time, cook for 4 or 5 minutes, and then out onto a tray. And now it's time to build the dish, which is a bit of a dirty job, and you know, never get your denim dirty. So I'm gonna whack my apron on. We got there, people. Like, there's so many elements to this dish and it's really time consuming doing everything by hand, but to be really honest, it's so worth it. So now we're at the point where we're going to need to assemble everything. So, lasagna.
Assemble!
About 10% of just the tomato sauce, and what we do is we finish the lasagna with that on the top. So what you're basically doing is you're just putting a nice covering of the remaining tomato sauce over your lasagna, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish it off with a little shake of parmesan, and then it's going in the oven. Right, look at that beauty. Go on, get in. It's going in the oven for about 30 minutes at 180 until it starts bubbling. Let's get it in. Oh mate, come on, look at that. Now, you absolutely have to let this stand for at least an hour, because if you cut into it now, it will just collapse. The best thing to do is to leave it all day and have it tonight. Like, to be fair, I've nailed that. Like, that is flipping delicious. It's so worth trying this because it is different from the lasagna al forno. But I've done my boys proud there. They're going to be really happy with what I've done. That is just so tasty. The eggs, which you think, what are they doing in there? They just make it creamy. So good.